Hey, all right. Welcome to the show, ladies and gentlemen. How we doing today? We're 6 feet above, walking around. We cannot complain about what we have in our day-to-day, right? Listen, this Eagles offense, ladies and gentlemen, we haven't talked about the hire of Kevin Patullo, but I've been thinking about what the direction of this offense is going to be going forward. And I know we just came off a Super Bowl. We basically ran our way to a Super Bowl with the best running attack in all of football, led by Saquon Barkley. And then you supplement Jalen Hurts in that. And then towards the end of the season, the passing game took off. And it got me thinking, like, hey, what was the reason for how the offense looked this past season? One of the main reasons was, one, the running game, obviously, but also this defense being number one and being the best in the NFL. Now, this past season, the defense was special. I think we would be, as Eagle fans, lying to ourselves if we feel that coming up this year, we're going to have a defense that's similarly special in 2025. 2024's defense was unique. It's the best defense probably in franchise history. Certainly the best defense in my Eagles' lifetime. We are not going to have the same level of success on defense. Too much turnover, a lot more youth. Now you look at the schedule, you're going up against better quarterbacks on a consistent basis. While it'll help us in the long run, week to week, we're not going to sit here and say this defense is stifling. At least I don't think. If we do, then all bets are off. So the only suggestion that we have in order to offset the downslide or a drop in defensive production is to have an increase on the offensive side of the ball and on that output. But there's been changes. You have Kevin Patullo as your play caller. You have most of your offenses intact outside of him. Is he Kellen Moore? No. We don't even know what he's going to be like as a play caller because he's never called a game before. And tell me if I'm wrong, we went on this path before with Brian Johnson. We brought him into the fray, never had play calling experience, and we saw what that led to in 2023. Everyone wants to look at it and say, hey, the offense was ranked number 8, and, you know, it's not like the offense was the reason we were losing games. Certainly not. The defense was putrid. But at the same time, let's not act like the offense was an absolutely well-oiled machine. The offense was looking really choppy, just to say the least. It looked not great. And having an experience in play calling matters. So when it comes to Kevin Patullo and being able to replicate what we did in 2024, my question to Eagle fans is, should there be a change in offensive identity? Will there be a change in offensive identity? Because now you have a new play caller, a new chef in the kitchen stirring the pot. You don't have a guy like Kellen Moore who has a really innate feel of the ebbs and flow of a game play calling wise. Because there is an art to play calling. Like, again, probably one of my hotter takes in terms of football. I don't believe there are a lot of great play callers in the National Football League today. I think there are a few. Andy Reid's one of them. I think Sean McVay's one of them. Shane Steichen, I believe, is one of them. Kellen Moore, I think, has really proved himself to be really good at play calling in terms of the ebb and flow of a game. And outside of that, maybe you could say Cliff Kingsbury as a play caller because he has shown he understands the ebbs and flow of a game in terms of play calling wise. Outside of that, I know you're looking at me and you're saying, hey, what about Kyle Shanahan? What about Matt LaFleur? What about Kevin Stefanski? What about Kevin O'Connell? All of those guys are excellent play callers, but they're really, really excellent when everything's on schedule and on time. I judge a play caller on if plan A doesn't work, what's your answer? What's the answer to get you back in rhythm? That, to me, is what signifies and dignifies a great offensive play caller. I believe Andy Reid has an answer anytime there's some sort of nuance in the game plan. I believe Sean McVay has nuance. I believe Shane Steichen shows nuance. I think Kellen Moore has shown this past season with the Eagles. He has the ability to change. Hell, I even forgot to mention Sean Payton. I believe he has an ability to change up things to get the offense going once again. I don't know if any other play caller in the National Football League has that ability, which leads me to Kevin Patullo. I don't know if he has that ability. And that's kind of the question that I have going forward with him being the offensive coordinator for the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, we are going to get into some of the credentials he has because he does have a track record to suggest, like, hey, if anybody were to get an opportunity to call an offense, it's this guy. But again, we've been on this path before. We don't know what it's going to yield. So I asked the question, what should be the identity of this offense? Should we be a team that kind of just doubles down on what it was last season, being a run-heavy offense, let Saquon Barkley carry the load, and trust that the defense can maintain a level of stability in terms of its rankings and play that style of ball? Or do you try to shift a little bit more into a dynamic passing game, having a more balanced running attack because you believe that the defense is going to take a step back because of youth, because of loss of playmakers, and due to the increase of quarterback play on the opposite side of the field? Those are things that we're going to look at going forward. But for now, we introduce the show. This is the Riding the Bench Eagles podcast. I am your host, Asif Body. Like you, I am a Birds fan who talks about the Birds, only the Birds, and nothing but the Philadelphia Eagles. So please do us a favor, be part of the discussion and comment your thoughts in the comment section below. Subscribe to the channel and shoot this video a thumbs up because it helps me get out to as many Eagle fans out there on the World Wide Web as much as possible. Also, check us out on audio platforms such as Apple Podcasts and Spotify and leave a 5-star review because it doesn't cost you a damn thing and free stuff is good stuff. So please, support the channel. We thank you for supporting the Riding the Bench Eagles podcast. Kevin Patullo, ladies and gentlemen. Let's go through some of the track record that he has as a career in the National Football League. I took some notes, and I'm going to go through them one by one, and then we're going to kind of talk about why, we should either lean on A.J. Brown and Saquon Barkley, change the identity of the offense, right, and kind of get into that discussion. But for Kevin Patullo's sake, he started his career in 2007 with the Kansas City Chiefs. I know he has other stints in college. In 2003, he was with the Gators or something like that. But 2007, he was an offensive assistant and offensive quality control coach for the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, they had quarterback injuries that year. They did not win a lot of games. I think they went like 4-12 that year, and Brody Croyle was their quarterback. So you just, I'm going to let the man slide on that one. In 2010, though, he was the Bills' offensive quality control coach. And anyone who remembers the 2010 season for the Buffalo Bills, I know, why would you? You're an Eagle fan, right? That was also the year Stevie Johnson came into the fray. And being a moribund franchise, the Bills were at the time, having Stevie Johnson was a revelation. And he was there from 2010 to 2012. Kevin Patullo was the assistant wide receivers coach in 2012, where Stevie Johnson had 79 catches, 1,046 yards, and 6 touchdowns, with Ryan Fitzpatrick throwing him the football. And then transitions to 2015, where he became the Jets quarterback coach. And this was the year, the 10-6 year for the New York Jets, which every Jet fan lives in infamy, guys. This was the Ryan Fitzpatrick year, 30 touchdowns, 15 interceptions. Eric Decker, Brandon Marshall were the wide receiver duo there. Eric Decker, respectively, had 80 catches, 1,027 yards, and 12 touchdowns. Brandon Marshall had 109 catches, 1,500 yards, and 14 touchdowns. Probably the best year of Ryan Fitzpatrick's career. Kevin Patullo was the quarterback's coach for Ryan Fitzpatrick at the time. So there's some sort of connection in that sense where he had his hands on the operation and yielded some good result. You also have 2018 where he was a wide receivers coach in Indianapolis. And this was the bounce back year for T.Y. Hilton, where he had 1,300 yards and 6 touchdowns. All Colts fans who watch this at the Riding the Bench Colts podcast, thank you for joining us. But remember that year, T.Y. Hilton, the year before, had a really down year. He bounced back, had a monster comeback, played really well. Again, Nick Sirianni was a coach there, but Kevin Patullo was also with Nick Sirianni in 2018 for the wide receivers. In 2020, he was the pass game specialist for the Indianapolis Colts the year Phillip Rivers was quarterbacking the Indianapolis Colts. That was the year they went to Buffalo. Were on the verge of securing a drive to potentially go ahead in the fourth quarter, but Michael Pittman unfortunately drops a first down pass that could have extended the drive. And who knows what would have happened, because that game, the Indianapolis Colts had the Bills on their heels, right? So that's probably been the best quarterback play that they have had in quite some time since Andrew Luck. Phillip Rivers that year was playing really good ball. Colts fans unfortunately know the painful experience of having bad quarterback play since Andrew Luck. And then 2021 became a pass game coordinator for the Philadelphia Eagles, and now 2023, 2024, he was an assistant head coach with the previous title of pass game coordinator, and now is the offensive coordinator for the Philadelphia Eagles. So again, a little bit of a run through of his track record here, and I bring this up to show that, hey, while I do have questions on whether or not the man can call a game, he does have a track record in the NFL that suggests that whenever he's part of an operation that he's directly involved in, it usually yields into some positive result. So Stevie Johnson with the Bills, 2015 with Ryan Fitzpatrick and the pass game and the pass game that they have had, that was probably the best year a Jets quarterback has had in years. 2018 as a wide receivers coach with T.Y. Hilton. 2020 as a pass game specialist with Phillip Rivers as the quarterback. And then 2021 was Devonta Smith's rookie year and Jalen Hurts' first campaign as a starter for 16 games. 2022, the Super Bowl appearance against the Chiefs. And then 2023, while yes, we did have the collapse, I did mention before, this was the career year in terms of yardage for A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith, DeAndre Swift, and Jalen Hurts. And then obviously, pass game coordinator, assistant head coach in 2024, which yielded a Super Bowl title with Kellen Moore as the play caller, right? So good results all around, okay? So he deserves the opportunity to prove whether or not he can get the job done. But my question is not whether or not he can call a game, because that's yet to be seen. The question is whether or not Kevin Patullo is going to come in and change the identity of this team, because we just came off a year where we ran the ball down people's throats, didn't turn the ball over, and had the number one defense, the best defense in all of football by a significant margin, in my opinion. And while usually that yields to long-term success in terms of NFL history, being able to play good defense, run the football, not turn the ball over, that's something that I always preach here. How sustainable was it last season, at least long-term? Because remember, you have Devonta Smith and A.J. Brown. Now you have Dallas Goedert back at least for 1 year. Yes, you have Saquon Barkley, but he had 2,500 yards. He damn near had 400 touches. Is that sustainable long-term for a running back like Saquon Barkley, albeit behind the Great Wall of Philly? Is it sustainable to have the defense be the number one defense in all of football last season, playing the way it did? When you lose players like Darius Slade, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, Josh Sweat, and Milton Williams as a core piece of your defense, it is tough to sustain that. Plus, you lost Oren Burks. Plus, you lost Isaiah Rodgers. A lot of moving parts here. You lost Oren Burks at depth at linebacker, right? There's a lot of things here that have to fall into place for this team to be able to replicate what it did last season, which yields my question of whether or not we have to change the identity, because what's the one way we can offset a drop-off in defense? That's to make the offense a little bit more dynamic than it was last season. Now, I didn't feel like the offense was in such a dire strait where we had to revamp the whole system. You're running the ball super effectively, getting 6 yards a clip. I am not thinking about passing the ball. I'm going to keep running it down your throat until you can figure out how to stop the run. That's basically what Philly did last season. Can we do that again? Sure. But listen, A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith are wide receivers 1 and 2 on your football team. Yeah, you have Saquon Barkley, but you got to think over a 20-game stretch here, how much wear and tear do you want this man to take on? Plus, you have a quarterback who you paid all this money to, and you have a front office and an owner who wants a light show. Say what you want about Jeffrey Lurie and Howie Roseman. Yeah, they'll take a Super Bowl win, absolutely 1,000%, but they are not thrilled with the way it looked last season. Absolutely not. They want a light show. They would rather a Super Bowl win in 2017 the way it was, with the light show, the drama, the absolute, bombs away offense, air raid offense, essentially, throwing it all over the yard, versus what we did all of last season, which is run the ball, play shutdown defense, not turn the ball over, be conservative, right? Now, to the credit of the offense, in the NFC title game and the Super Bowl title game, we basically averaged 40 points, right? So, for me to shut my mouth, I guess so. I understand. But they want this passing game to be elevated. That's why they brought in Sirianni. That's why they brought in all these players on offense to make sure this passing game is elite. And say what you want about the NFL nowadays, you got to have a quarterback who can put on a show. That's what puts butts in the seats. That's what leads to long-term sustainability in the National Football League. Jalen Hurts is capable of it. Is Kevin Patullo capable of it? That's the question. Change in identity? I don't know. I'll tell you what, though. I don't think you can go another season the way you did last season, especially with A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith. And the reason I say that is because we have heard their thoughts, both of them, on what the Super Bowl title meant to them. Sure, it meant a lot to them. Absolutely. But the thing that really gets a wide receiver going, and again, while this is just A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith's quotes, I would assume this would be the mindset of any wide receiver. The thing that gets them going is to know that, hey, the opposing DB in front of me can do nothing to stop me. I'm busting your ass, and you have no answer for me. And to expand upon that, we're going to play the A.J. Brown quote, because A.J. Brown gives you a little bit of insight on what exactly it means to be able to do this to an opposing wide receiver.
This would really do it for me. When that DV, after I cook him, drop their head, and he like, shit, he get messing with his gloves. I don't even gotta say nothing. I don't even gotta say nothing. I do my little first down celebration. And you right where I want you to be. Dominate other people cross that line. I don't finna put you in the ground.
I kind of agree with what he was saying about, DB putting his head down and stuff like that. He defeated, he just don't want no more. Like, you get a rush from something like that, and it's just like, there is no feeling better than that in the game of football. When you dominate the person. Don't let piss somebody off worse than somebody whooping your ass and they smile. Yeah.
So yeah, there is no better feeling in football than busting somebody's ass and you're smiling at them. That's basically what he said. When you have two elite wide receivers like AJ and Devonta on your team, you got to find a way to get them the football. When you have an owner group like Jeffrey Lurie and you have a front office with Howie Roseman who want a light show, when you have talented players and you have a head coach who has a wide receivers coaching background and you have a quarterback who does want to improve his ability to throw the ball, Kevin Patullo gets put in a situation where he has to kind of have a fine balance of, hey, do I really lean in on what we have been on our Super Bowl run all of last season, or is it my job as the offensive coordinator to put us in a position where I know we can run the ball? What do I do to improve this passing game week to week? What do I do to make sure that A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith are engaged throughout the year, but also keeping Saquon Barkley fresh? That's an important conversation to have internally for Kevin Patullo, which also is going to affect the output of this offense. And it's why I'm asking Eagle fans out there, does it warrant a change in identity? Because as much as I love running the football with Saquon Barkley, it's not like we brought in another running back here to help offload it. It's not like we have a duo pair of running backs like Detroit has, for example, or what the Green Bay Packers used to do. They don't have a dynamic duo of running backs to be able to offset the load Saquon Barkley is going to carry. He's not Derrick Henry. He's not Adrian Peterson in that sense. While he proved he could do it last season, how long can you sustain that? It's impossible to know. I would venture not that long. And listen, as much as they want to win the Super Bowl, they all have their Super Bowl title now. This is another part of the conversation I think most people don't really look at. Once you have your Super Bowl title, how many people does stacking up Super Bowls actually matter to? It matters to quarterbacks because that's a key into the Hall of Fame and immortality. Does it matter for wide receivers, though? Does it matter for running backs? Does it really matter for guys who play skilled positions to be able to stack up Super Bowl title after Super Bowl title after Super Bowl title? Or is it more important to go out there and bust the living crap out of someone else on the opposite side of the field and put up your numbers? Say what you want about any of these guys in the National Football League's Hall of Fame. The reason you get in, if you're a skill position, is numbers. The reason you can get in as a quarterback is Super Bowl titles. That's why Eli Manning's going in. Yeah, he has some numbers to back up his claim, but mainly those 2 Super Bowls that he won with the Giants are a key ticket for him to get in. Same with Troy Aikman. Same with a lot of these other guys who have multiple Super Bowl titles. They don't have the greatest numbers per se, but they have a background of Super Bowl titles under their belt. Wide receivers, T.O. should have been a first ballot Hall of Famer. He's in. Randy Moss, he's in. Elite numbers, no Super Bowl title. Larry Fitzgerald, elite numbers, no Super Bowl title. Calvin Johnson, elite numbers, no Super Bowl titles. Antonio Brown has a case to get into the Hall of Fame, no Super Bowl title. Well, he has one with the Bucs, excuse me. Julio Jones, elite numbers, no Super Bowl titles. Frank Gore, great numbers, no Super Bowl title. Adrian Peterson going to get in, no Super Bowl titles. LaDainian Tomlinson, no titles. I mean, all these guys in my lifetime have put up epic numbers, and that's what gets you to the Hall of Fame. If you're a wide receiver, if you're a running back, you need elite numbers. That's your only way to get in. And if these guys are trying to chase immortality, like A.J. Brown, like Devonta Smith, like Saquon Barkley, you need elite numbers. As much as you want to win football games, you want to be the reason you win football games, or to have numbers to show that, hey, I contributed heavily to winning football games. Transitioning to a more dynamic passing game to offload Saquon Barkley's output in the regular season so he's not running for 2,000 yards every year and carrying the ball damn near 400 times in a postseason run would really make this team that much more impossible to stop. And that's the balance that Kevin Patullo is going to have to play going forward. So do we want to be a run-heavy offense and rely on this defense being number one once again? Or does Kevin Patullo have a job to do in which he has to switch the whole identity of this offense? That, to me, is going to be the most interesting question for Kevin Patullo. And being a first-time play caller, it is awfully tough to do. But if there's one thing for sure that you can guarantee in the NFL, if you're the Philadelphia Eagles offensive coordinator and you do a good job getting this team to a Super Bowl, having an elite offense, it's a straight path to becoming a head coach in the National Football League. And whatever Kevin Patullo wants to do, I am sure getting a promotion as a head coach is something that's on the docket because it brings you more money, more wealth, and more longevity in the NFL. But again, it's going to be the toughest question that Kevin Patullo has to ask. Lean on the run game or transition to a more dynamic passing game? That's the question.
Hey! Thank you so much for watching the Riding the Bench Eagles podcast. If you want to continue to support the channel, please hit the like and subscribe button down below. Also, check us out on Instagram and TikTok at Riding the Bench Eagles Pod. We're also on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, you name it, we're on there. Thank you so much for listening, and please join us next time here at the Riding the Bench Eagles Podcast.